So we got a lot of things going on here on the organic farm. We've got CBD hemp, we've got sorghum Sudan grass, we've got sheep, chickens, popcorn. And what I'm trying to do is develop an agronomic algorithm that's ratcheting. And what I mean by that is it's put together in a way to where if we simply move animals around, then the plants defend the soil. So just right down here on the ground, we put down some rye straw. And you can see, even though it hasn't, well, rained a little bit yesterday, I can feel that moisture in here. This does a couple things. It keeps the soil cool, but it defends the soil from growing weeds. Same thing here with the sorghum Sudan grass. We're using the sun's energy through photosynthesis to grow our food for the sheep, which in turn turn into fertilizer, which in turn lay manure, which in turn feeds our chickens protein. And this is all going in the soil and feeding the microbiology. But you don't see these weeds, but we've got, it's not like we don't have weeds. We've got butterprint here, a little bit of ragweed, but it's a matchup. You know, in the NFL, Randy Moss was 6'5". He could touch 11.6. You put a 5'10" corner on him, he's going to catch that corner touchdown every time. So this sorghum Sudan grass loves the heat. And what's really cool when you really get into nature is the golden ratio, or phi. And there's this spiral. So the way a corn or grass plant works is it's way ahead of itself. So what it expresses itself to capture sunlight, it created 2 or 3 weeks ago at the beginning of this swirl. So why that's really relevant in nature is if we allow things to express themselves, is we can get so much more production per entity. So we purposely placed these hemp plants this far apart because we knew the hemp plants would get so big. And this here on the corner is just as valuable as this on the top. So we can get immense production from everything out here. Even the sheep are happy, they're going to grow a little bit better. But going back to this sorghum Sudan grass, as we go out here, after they graze and make that cut, it'll grow out of that spiral and create these leaves just a few days after they graze, which quickly defends that soil once again and starts photosynthesizing once again. So when I go back to this ratcheting position, at no point are the weeds going to be able to take over on this organic farm because we've got a system in place. So we move these sheep every morning and every evening, and they take what you just saw down to this trampled down state right here. We call this leaving a little bit of litter. The same thing with this rye straw. This carbon is now trampled down into the soil. The worms now can access that down, pull it down into the soil. We've got all of these spirals that are going to grow, and quickly as we walk this direction here and give this time and space, it expresses itself once again. And look what, if you look down here, I know it's manure, but there's tons of fleas and bugs and grubs and all this stuff laying their babies in there, which the chicken will love to search through in the coming days. But this area right here was grazed by the sheep as they were going that way and turned around, and you can see how this is grown back out. So that cut right there, that spiral's grown out, and now these bigger leaves shut off the soil, surface, and not allow weeds to come in. Take a look at these chickens. They're here pecking around in search for bug larvae. They got food and water in there. And there's so many people that ask me if I'm, worming them or doing this or that. The derivative of why we have to do so many things for our animals, because we make them live in their own feces. Movement is not only good for the land and good for the cover crop and good for the soil, but it's great for the animal's health. We basically change their diapers, if you will, every time that we move these animals. So give this a few days. See that chicken right there was probably in this spot right here 3 or 4 days ago. And you go back on the days as we go back here, further and further and further, and you can really see that nitrogen in the urine, the phosphorus in the manure, is really getting into these plants. And what I really enjoy is the fractal nature in which they grow back. So that sorghum Sudan grass that was tall and towering is chewed down all the way down and trampled down, and it comes back in multiple shoots out of that same root. And this will quickly fill back in. Those nutrients will be deposited in the soil, which will be accessible to these plants right here. So do we need to continuously apply nutrients to this hemp for maximum growth? Well, the animals did all the work, but we had to feed the animals, and the sun fed the plants. It's as simple as that.